Hi, True Engineering Design people. I am going to try my best to make this a short lecture. Every time I ran through it so far, it's been about 20 minutes of me trying to explain and give an example. So I'm gonna try to make it better than that. This is for the product life cycle, or the life cycle analysis lesson, however you want to call it. Over here in Canvas, as you can see, I'm still working on part 2 of the lecture, so there's a note there about that. There's my first one. There's a link to the Google Sheets version of the inventory analysis that I want you guys to fill out 2 of. And there's also a PDF version if you're the kind of person who likes to print it off and fill it out by hand and then scan or take photos of it. I've got both options sort of described here, and you can either put website URLs or upload some files for me. And that's how you can submit it. I've got a PDF of these slides I've been going through. I've got a PDF of the instructions for filling out this analysis worksheet, because in the slides, it's like 7 or 8 slides, and sometimes people like to see all of it together at once. I might also copy paste it into this assignment. Got my video, my first part of this lecture. The second part, I'm going to have this little video about the mag slider lid, and that's what's going to be. So the Google Sheet, I'm going to use the Google Sheet just to show you what it looks like. It's going to have this inventory analysis of, you put the product name, you put your name, you put today's date, and then it's got sort of an instruction. The type of raw material goes in there, the type of metals or plastics are listed here. It tells you kind of what goes in. Anything sort of in parentheses here, you just need to delete that and type over if you're going to use those lines. But this is it. You guys can make yourself a copy. In fact, you can make a couple copies, and you can just submit it online if you'd like to. So what I had asked for was a comparison of like a plastic disposable cup versus a Yeti reusable, fancy, more expensive cup. And there's a template that says to put on your header, your product's name, your name, the date. The other thing about this is the values assigned are just generic values for all of these things. There's no science or math involved in it. If you're actually working in the industry, there will be numbers that mean something associated with all these concepts. They will have done research, how much emissions, how much carbon gets put into the atmosphere per mile that a truck drives, a diesel truck. How much carbon gets put in the atmosphere per mile that an airplane flies. How much emission gets put in the air for if it's an electric truck cab. So there will be values that are more specific and make more sense and are more realistic. This is just for us to practice, get used to the idea of ethical, responsible, environmentally conscious design. All right. So first thing you do after you put your name and the product name is you're going to list your materials. If I'm analyzing, and my examples I'm going to use are a plastic baggie, got a Walmart bag, and one of those sort of cooler bags that has the insulated lining that you can reuse when you go grocery shopping. So my plastic grocery bag analysis here, it's Saturday. I have just plastic in it. If you're like me, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. I'm sitting here like, well, plastic's not the raw material. The raw material is the oil. Don't overthink it. We take into account by repeating the plastic in the processing section that, you take the raw material, the crude oil out of the ground, or it's petroleum out of the ground, and you're going to process it to make plastic. You put your materials, metal, fibers, plastic, fabric, wood, whatever you've got. Put 1 point per item. And then do 1 point again for your metals and your plastics, because those absolutely are processed beyond what they are when they're just taken out of the ground. So I have the plastic 1 point, and I went and I put the total points down on the bottom as I went. The plastic here is 1 point, so I put the total points down there as I went through it. Manufacturing, you got to think about all the parts your product has. Now, this plastic baggie might have like handles on it, but it is one continuous part. The handles are not made separately and then added onto the rest of the bag. It is one bag. So the part that it has is just the bag. You give it 1 point for that part. If you were thinking about like this pencil, remember how we were thinking, it's got about 20 parts in it? 20 points if you were doing an analysis on this pencil. It's got plastics in it. It's got more than one type of plastic. You got to have those line items and the metal that's in it and the graphite and the eraser's a rubber thing. So yeah, there's a lot more parts and a lot more materials in something that's more complicated. What's next? Packaging. So how's the product packaged? Is it a blister pack that's all plastic? Does it have paper and, or just paper, or just cardboard, or cardboard and plastic? Does it have, is it just in a baggie with a twist tie on it? Like, how's it packaged? Does it have instruction sheets in it? That's something else. So you can select one of these options. But when I'm thinking about plastic baggies at Walmart or something, I've only ever seen someone take them out of a cardboard box, like as a set, and then stick them on the little metal holders. So I gave it 5 points for being cardboard only. Obviously, there's other options. You get a lot more expensive, or a lot more points added if you're going to use just plastic, or if you're going to use styrofoam as well. Oof. All right. Transportation. When it's completed, it's got to transport. They only give you 2 options. Like I said, if you're in a real world scenario, you're going to be analyzing like all the different possible options. But hey, if you use transportation, that's 15 points. If you don't, that's just 1 point. Because you're still probably going to have consumers driving to and from your location, and that's a transportation. But yeah, 15 points. I'm sure they're transported by truck like all the rest of Walmart's products are. So, lifespan. How long can you use it effectively? And these are meant to be disposable single use, so I get 15 points. I definitely can't use it for 5 or 10 years, even if I could reuse it for a project, or to like hold trash, or to carry something else later. I still count it as a one-use thing, because they're really flimsy, especially these days. These bags are so flimsy. Sometimes they rip when you put something in them at the Walmart. It's not very sturdy, so it's not going to last. And then think about disposal. What's going to happen to this product at the end of its useful life? It's a number 2 plastic recyclable. So you could recycle it wherever there is number 2 plastic recycling. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that as a, well, I could be generous and give it 0 points, but realistically, like, I'm sitting here thinking I can't do that, because I know more people than not are going to be throwing these things out, especially in Mississippi, just because it's so difficult to recycle around here. So I averaged the recyclable and must be thrown away thing, gave it 7.5. 45.5 points. Well, the maximum points I think you can get in this, it's like 75 and up, so it's kind of what I expected. I mean, it's not great for the environment, and we kind of know that because it's plastic, and it's not great. But that's the number I got. When I was thinking about my cooler bag, I know it's got a fabric outer shell, it's got some metal for a zipper, it's got a type of plastic that's sort of on the very innermost layer. It's got cotton that's like insulating between the fabric and the inner layers. There's another type of plastic in the Velcro, because it's got Velcro. There's metal in the liner layer, like almost a shimmery foil layer inside that plastic layer. And there's rubber on the bottom of it. There wasn't enough room. I had to go over the side. That's 7 different kinds of material, and I could be picky and go down and actually look and see what else there is on that bag, but that's what I remember, and that's the general gist of it. That's enough. I'm not going to, again, I don't want you all fussing about this and spending like hours and hours agonizing over how many, have I listed enough metals and stuff like that. Just give it a good shot, give it your best shot. Material processing. I'm going to relist all my metals, all my plastics, all my rubber is kind of a plasticky thing. That's all got to get processed. That's 5 more points. The pieces, there's that outer bag layer, there's an insulation layer, there's a liner, there's a zipper, it's got where to go? It's got 2 handles, I should have put 2 there, it's got 2 Velcro tabs, I should have put 2 there, it's got an outer pocket, it's got rubber on the bottom, that's at least 8. Packaging, I'm sure they're just laid in a cardboard box without plastic around them. Maybe there's paper liners, I don't know. Again, I'm overthinking it, I'm taking too much time. Yes, it has to be transported. And yes, it can be used for more than 10 years. The one I've had for 12. And disposal, some of it I'm sure can be recycled. Look at that, I got 50 points. That's more points. And that's me being like mean and giving it points over here for because people are going to throw it away. Like theoretically, I can give it a 0. And that'd be 38 points. So, I mean, my cooler bag, based on how I calculated it, that's worse off than my plastic baggie. I think I've skipped ahead of myself. I was supposed to show you this slide next. So you do have to find the sum of the values of each step and then find the sum of all the steps. And so that's what I was doing as I went along when I filled in these little total point things. And if you're doing it by hand, you're going to add those total points boxes up to get this guy. This has a formula in it that references all those cells and adds them together. So as you fill these in or change things, like your number changes. How cool is that? So you don't have to add it by hand or even plug it in the calculator if you're using this. All right. So, yeah, what's the number mean? Well, obviously the higher the number, the more of an impact theoretically it has. My reusable bag has more of an impact than these plastic bags. Do you think that's true? I mean, it could be. Certainly it's true for some products that are like, they're supposed to be reusable. Solar panels have this problem. Solar panels, the methods and materials needed to create them cost a lot of energy and a lot of water usage as they produce this material and produce the solar panels. Not only that, when you have them on your roof, heavy metals like lead would leach out of them and fall to the ground and impact the environment that way. And so there was a lot of like early solar panels that were not any better for the environment than the burning fossil fuels almost. I mean, it still had a bad impact. Obviously, we've come a long way since originally we started using solar panels. They're a lot better these days than they used to be. But you got to take into account all this stuff. Sometimes, yes, it's possible that a reusable version of something is not better for the environment than the disposables, especially if you can recycle the entire disposable thing. Is it also possible that I'm not an industry insider? I don't know exactly like any of these real values, and maybe if I had real values, then the plastic bags will be a higher number, and the my Rachael Ray insulated bag is going to be a lower number. Absolutely, it's possible. Absolutely. I'm not going to fuss at you about it because I don't know the real values for anything. I don't know the real values for the Yeti thing. How am I supposed to tell you if you've done it right or wrong? It's just sort of practice and thinking about it. So what I do want you to do, if you can, is to think about what you might change. And I only do it for one of the products. I only did it for my Rachael Ray bag, my insulated bag. And how can you improve your impact on the environment? Go back in, recalculate your new score. And I did that over here. I said, look, no rubber bottom, first of all. That gets rid of the rubber in the raw materials, the processing, and the rubber bottom down here in manufacturing. I don't have to have those pieces. It doesn't matter as much. I'm going to get rid of the Velcro. So that takes away one type of plastic, and it takes away, in both these fields, the one type of plastic, and it also takes away the manufacturing of the Velcro tabs. So I've saved 2 points here. I've saved 2 points here. I've saved 3 points here because I'm not going to do the pocket either. I don't use that pocket. I've never used that pocket. I think I used it once on a road trip because I had nowhere else to shove a kid's shoes or something. I don't use it. It's not something I use regularly. I don't need it. My packaging, my distribution, my usage are all going to be the same. And I'm going to go and make sure, this is you just saying what you would do. I don't know if it's even possible, but I would make sure my product is completely recyclable. Especially if my fabric is synthetic, then that's a plastic. I can recycle plastic. Yes. Look, that's only 38 now. That's a lot better than 50. In fact, it's better than my plastic bag number was. So go ahead and do one of those. Yeah. As always, there's trade-offs. Think about as an engineer how somebody would be deciding these things. If I can reduce my environmental impact, but it takes me 5 times as long to make it, I'm not going to be able to make enough of these to meet demand. Or if it costs me 20 times as much to produce it and I have to pass that on to my consumers, they're not going to want to spend that kind of money. They're not going to necessarily want to jump to hike up their rates like that. A huge jump in cost is going to impact my company. So you'll notice that there's a lot of complexity involved in making changes to products and the way you want them to be. All right. I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, have a good one. I made it 15. That's 5 minutes shorter. All right, guys. Y'all take care. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to Zoom again this week once or twice, and we'll get y'all sorted out. All right. Bye-bye.